Gross.
I don't see ones.
Coop, you all have just ridden across the island on a dinosaur. After having meeten? Nope. Having met.
Having done metten, I believe is
Well,
the.
in my mind, the next word was going to be meted. No. Having met Mr. Grumpy Pants and the young girl Sophie accompanying the T-Rex, after several strange incidences, which also now involves an unconscious teenaged Ashley Raven in your midst, you have ridden across the island to Sophie's home, where her father has greeted you all, a sort of tall, sort of muscular 30-something-year-old man who introduces himself as Thorgarn Talmud. But Coop, you recognize this man.
My dad.
As your dad, Roger.
Ooh.
You notice that he seems younger than when you last saw him. There's no mistaking it. This is, as far as you can tell, your father, Roger. I believe everybody else is conscious except for Ashley Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Let's check real quick. Yeah, and Oak has gotten strangely catatonic. And I don't say that just tongue in cheek because Chad's not currently here.
Oak's still up on top of the No, wait, the T-Rex ran off. So
The
that's not
T-Rex
okay.
ran off around down the side of the hill on towards what Sophie said was the cave. No, Oak seems distracted. I'll leave it at that. But for the moment, the camera is focusing on Coop. What you doing?
Well, what is it? Coop is just kind of trying to sink into the crowd of the rest of us. And he's just kind of shifting uncomfortably from foot to foot. And he's looking at Roger to see if there's any spark of recognition whatsoever when he sees him. Albeit Coop looks a little beat up, so, he might not recognize me right away.
Right. His face is pulp.
Go ahead and
Plus his
give me
sweet
a
stash
charm.
is starting to come in.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Yes.
At 11?
Not at 11.
This is the 1830s, 1850s. You never know.
I didn't open my
Never know.
character
Kids,
sheet.
people matured faster back then.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, because they were going to be
70s
dead.
teens.
They were going to be dead by
70s
30
teens.
usually.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coop, and give me a charm check.
Oh. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna roll my Totoro die.
Hey.
Well, that's pretty booty. That's an 11.
That's not bad.
It's my
not bad.
D20.
Oh, well,
Well,
I mean,
An 11 is still
beat
good,
the
though.
average.
Then the high 50%.
Well, no, it was a 10 plus 1. So
oh,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
exactly 50%.
Remember,
Well, Tamiko, that does suck.
generally speaking,
You're right.
the DCs don't run very high this game. I am
Good.
going to make a roll.
yes.
Nice. Nice.
Coop, you watch as Sophie greets her father and he seems genuinely pleased to see her, and seems to be a very loving and affectionate father, paying attention to her, kind of dropping down to her level, giving her a hug, and then turning to all of you. Well, I thought it was a bit strange when she brought home a stray dinosaur. Somehow a group of kids seems weirder. Coop, he shows absolutely no signs that he recognizes you in any way, shape, or form. With that high of a roll, it's not even like a surreptitious glance, or like maybe he's pretending like he doesn't know you. This looks like somebody who has never met you before in his life.
I feel like Coop feels like it's a little weird, but at the same time, he's also thinking, well, I don't see my dad that much. And, well, kind of the same thing happened to Rosie, too. So,
Fair.
you know, yeah.
Let me get my dead mom off of the back of this T-Rex now. Sorry, just kidding.
So, how weird is your life that your daughter bringing home a dinosaur tamed is more normal than her coming back with a handful of kids?
Well, it's famously known as an island that doesn't have a lot of kids.
Right, but it's still a dinosaur that died 65 million years ago. I think the
Semantics.
the likelihood is to encounter more humans than dinosaurs.
I mean,
Odds are lean that way, yeah.
I mean, you are a very
He's
smart.
getting very weird vibes from us.
You are a very smart young man. But I can tell you this: since since my daughter and I came to this island, well, nothing has really been normal, and it got even less normal when we built the homestead here. I call it lucky, call it a curse, but the dinosaur is definitely the most shocking thing, but not the strangest.
Have you noticed like a central place, like an epicenter or whatever, of where all this like weird stuff happens?
Oh,
I gotta say that I think Billy would be shocked that Laz uses a word like epicenter.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's an SAT word, bud.
I think there is going to be like a visible reaction that he's watching the conversation and Laz says epicenter and he does a double take and looks at you.
Slow head turn. Yeah.
I read
awesome.
Natural Geographic sometimes when I'm bored, you know.
Rosie's behind him and goes, dork.
You know, we can talk about epicenters and strange anomalies and just the general weirdness that is this island, but it's getting dark soon. We should probably head on inside, and it's a good thing I put on a big pot of stew. Was hoping, was planning on something that would sustain us for a few days, but the more the merrier. Come on in.
Can we bring our and Rosie points at I imagine she's been working this whole time. Well, I guess, did frickin' Mr. Grumpy Pants just like buck Ashley Raven off into the dirt?
You guys took her down.
So she's laying on the dirt right now, and it's like, can we bring her inside as well? I assume that's a yes, but I don't want to impose.
I assume she's with you, and I wouldn't have any expectation that you would leave anyone, let alone one of your friends or He kind of looks
Oh,
around like
she's
shrugs
not a friend.
She
family.
is not our friend. We say it like we say
Oh.
in unison.
Well, regardless, and he kind of looks around again, and you can tell everything's sort of taking on that beginnings of twilight as the sun starts to go down. Just come on inside where it's warmer.
Les, could you help me? Could you get her head this time? I don't trust myself. And
Yeah.
Rosie picks up her boots.
Absolutely. He'll grab a hold. He asks, "Does the Wetziker come here too?"
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
So he kind of looks at you a second, and you see him kind of sizing you up. I don't know where you learned about that, but no. The Wetzika does not come around here. That seems to be related to the area in and around the camp and the lighthouse. I've not heard of it appearing much beyond that area. We are safe from rainy ghost girls up here. Prehistoric
visibly relax
tyrant
a little.
lizards, not as much.
What other kind
Okay.
of large things do you get out this way?
It's not so much the size. It's and I'll be honest with you, as he kind of opens up the door to the cabin and ushers you all inside, it's about not knowing what's going to appear, and most of it is like it's like the equivalent of the wreckage from a shipwreck. It's like flotsam and jetsam making its way through the currents that shows up on our shore. We kind of sort through what's there. Old Mr. Grumpy Pants there is by and large, the most astounding thing that has ever come through. And if it wasn't for Sophie here, and he kind of ruffles the top of her head, and well, let's just say she has a way with animals that extends to dinosaurs, apparently.
I'm just, curious because, a creature that size has got to have an appetite that human-sized food isn't going to put a dent in. I want to make sure that there's plenty enough out there for Grumpy Pants to eat, so he doesn't try to eat us when we're not looking.
That is a very wise observation. Definitely something that we need to be aware of, and why I am working on something that I hope will allow us to return Mr. Grumpy Pants sooner rather than later to where it came from. Let's just say I've had to hunt a sizable number of deer in the last week or so to sustain that appetite, and something that big is definitely going to put a dent in the ecosystem here. We have enough to worry about around here without introducing new megafauna.
So, if I might press, what is it that you're working on?
You can see, as you ask that question, Sophie rolls her eyes as she heads over to a side cupboard and starts pulling out various tin and ceramic bowls and stuff to set on the table. And she kind of mutters, "Oh, you've gone and done it." And his eyes get just light up, and he goes, "Oh, I have been, ever since we discovered the portal that Mr. Grumpy Pants came through, before he even came through, there's a lot of stuff that comes through that I couldn't explain. But I like to mess around with stuff. I like to take things apart, put them back together again, see how they work. And I've been doing a fair bit of tinkering and trying to understand how things go together and trying to make things that shouldn't go together. And, well, after we eat some food, if you all are up to it, well, maybe after some rest, I could take you down to the portal and show you.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that'd be interesting to take a look at. I know Chad's not here, but I imagine that Oak is chomping at the bit, more so than Billy about, the device and the taking things apart. Would definitely have him peek.
Oh,
looking over
the
at
look
Oak,
on his face right now. Oh,
looking
sorry.
over at Oak. Oak is sitting at the table stoically with a puzzled look on his face, or like a look of concentration, like he's deep in thought. I'm suspecting Oak will be able to snap out of it very shortly.
Yes, very soon.
In the meantime, Billy, I need you to make me a grit check, please.
Grit.
Attaboy. So gritty. Boy Scout.
Well, grit is my second highest die. Let's see what the dice do. How about a 6?
Billy, apropos of nothing that's happening in this room, the hair on the back of your neck stands on end. You feel tension and you kind of struggle with interpreting it as anger, frustration, annoyance. It just comes over you in a quick wash.
So
I need you to shift to your pre-lunar stats.
round.
I
All right.
don't want him to
So
shift.
as
No
as
shifting.
this happens, like it's not a huge difference in height, but he like lowers into just a little bit of a crouch and involuntarily like sniffs the air.
You don't need anything more than that for you to know that the moon is nearing its full phase and has just risen. You don't know exactly where it is in its phase, but this is the first since you've been here 2-3 days. As far as you know, this is the first time that you felt the pull of the moon.
Oh.
So as he sniffs and crouches a little bit, he looks to the nearest window, and his eyes just get a little bit larger to take in more light.
What of the rest of you?
Rosie's happily eating. And I imagine, like, we have deposited unconscious Ashley Raven somewhere. Like, is there a cot or a pile of rags or flour sacks or anything like that for us to
Grain
put her?
sacks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A pile of grain sacks.
Oh, I did not hear grain. I'm like, did you say a brain sack? Like
Yes.
what?
Yeah, Carrie.
Yes. Are there
After all the
any
concussions
stray
we've
brain
given her
sacks in
from
here?
dropping her? Sure.
Carrie, you were
Yeah.
you were cutting
Yeah.
in and out a little bit, so it did sound like you
Oh,
said
God
something
damn it,
different.
mother.
No, your microphone
Sorry.
wasn't cutting in and out.
Reconnected. Oh,
It was you were freezing, like your internet was
yeah, the internet's gonna be doing that.
a little wonky. That was all.
Sorry.
That was all.
Great.
So this is a stew with
Anyway,
like
that's it.
utensils.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a few mismatched spoons and forks, and even a couple of wooden carved spoons. This is a man and his daughter who are not used to suddenly having, half a dozen house guests.
Coop reaches for his spoon and then realizes he's got a hornet's nest on his hand.
Oh, bonk.
Goes with the other one.
Let's pause for one moment.
Oh,
as-
I think
Oh,
Chad's
wait a minute.
out of pensive thought right now.
well,
Oh,
No.
well, we'll see.
Chad is probably gonna be in pensive thought. Oak? Who knows? I'm here still. Oh, oh, oh God.
There we go.
There we go.
I gotta make him
Ooh.
appear. There we go. Wild Chad appears.
Whoa, there
Hi.
he is.
I know this is
Hi.
it's very
Oh.
weird. Hello.
From our perspective, it's not all that different because you have a
No.
virtual background. So
It is
Correct.
different though because Chad's coming to us live from Emerald City Comic Con.
Hey, oh yes indeed.
Yay.
voice.
I'm very
Um,
On
happy.
location.
So
First day was extremely tiring, but we're good. We're good. We're getting through it.
I will get to you in a moment. Oak, you've mostly, since arriving outside this cabin, you've been distracted and sort of in brow furrowed in thought. And we'll come to you in a moment and see what's going on with you. But yeah, you're all sitting around the table. You were able to sort of, as you brought the unconscious Ashley Raven into the cabin, Mr. Talmud has helped to bring her over to under there's an area where there's a loft, and it seems the ladder leads up to what is probably where Sophie sleeps, but under that area, partially behind a curtain, is where his bed is, and he just kind of lays her down there, as you all are currently eating, and I had asked what else you were doing. So is anybody doing anything besides eating? Or are you just stuffing your faces?
I'm just eating.
Okay.
Yeah. Same.
Oak, I would like you to roll me a crit check.
Give me 1 second. But yes, I can get that. 1 moment.
While Chad takes a second, probably to find his dice, check us out on teespring.com. At teespring.com, we've got all kinds of great merch, like the one I'm wearing, the one Tamiko's wearing, the one Jeremy is wearing, and so many others. You can get our logos on t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, mugs, stickers, and all kinds of other great stuff. Teespring.com. Just click the link in the description for this video.
Thank you.
Okay, that'll be a 4.
Excuse me. As you were traveling here on the back of a dinosaur, there was a good chance that there was some thoughts of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, of all the things that's happened. I'm riding a dinosaur, the usual kind of things that you would just be like in disbelief, and a little bit maybe like Bastion on the back of Falcor, Very quickly, though, into that ride, an uneasiness kind of takes over. At first, pulling in at your insides, almost like you're starting to feel maybe a little nauseous, but it's not that. It's a feeling of vertigo, almost like you're about to step, like you step on the precipice, the edge of a cliff, and look over, and you get that same sense of vertigo. But then it sort of suddenly you slip into an almost comfortable feel. Now I would like you to roll me a brains check. I want to see if you can recall, because there's something familiar about this feeling. I want to see if you can recall it. 16 is pretty good.
Whoa.
This feeling, it takes you a good part of this ride for it to click in your mind what it is that's happening, what this sensation is, and why it feels familiar. The sensation, the familiarity of it is identical to every time you've been not at a nexus point, but traveling in or around ley lines towards a nexus point. And with that high of a roll, you are almost certain that the path you are currently running from where you were to where you are going, you are traveling along a ley line.
Ooh.
And just before you get to the cabin, and as everybody gets off Mr. Grumpy Pants, you feel that sense of vertigo again. As the last couple 100 feet, you feel like you suddenly derailed from that ley line. And it feels like it's in the direction that Mr. Grumpy Pants went when he ran down the path to the shoreline and around to where Sophie said there's the cave. And you're just now sort of snapping out of it. You've been in this state of concentration. You barely registered that you walked in the house with everybody and that you're now seated at a table with a bowl of hot stew in front of you. But what you do know is these three things. The spring you were at had to have been a nexus point. You were traveling along a ley line from that nexus point to another, and that nexus point is probably just down the hill from where you are now. What you do with that information, what you choose to do with that information, is up to you.
So the next nexus point would be just down the hill from us here?
Yep.
Right? Okay. And then... Okay. I think there's this moment where it's almost like any words, any conversations that are being had in the room right now are all like they're being jumbled underwater. He's not really hearing anything. He's not really connecting conversations right now. But you can tell that he's actively looking, and you see him looking out the windows of the house, even like almost attempting. I think he would actually at some point like get up and then like step out the front door and like look out and kind of like try to think to himself.
As you head to the door,
mm-hmm.
Sophie's dad, Mr. Talmud, kind of steps up and goes, "Hey, I wouldn't go out there alone right now."
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't mean to scare you
sorry,
or
sir.
anything, but it's the wilderness.
No, you're right. But I just had a question for you there, sir. This area, is it? Do you get? I mean, obviously, it's got to be something weird,
Well,
right?
were you not listening when I was just telling everybody about the weird stuff coming out of the cave?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, sorry. I that happens a
What
lot.
part of all that shit did you miss?
No, you're fine. I started thinking about things myself, and I got lost in my head. So no, you're right. I wanted to explore it. That's all, and I'm gonna be okay.
He kind of takes a deep sigh and he goes, "Do y'all want to see the cave?
Yeah, I do.
You want to see it now?
Yeah.
I kind of really do.
Because I kind of want to show you."
I have one
It's kind of
question
why we're here.
before we journey to the cave. Do I notice, is Coop like looking at fake Roger in any kind of way? Like,
You have
Is
no
he,
reason
like,
to
do I catch
even
Coop
suspect
stealing
that
glances?
Coop would be looking. I don't think any of you have any idea what Coop's dad looks like.
So, as soon as he
I
says,
just see Coop being weird. That's all I wanted to know.
What were you-
As
Coop
soon as
is
he
acting
says,
a little
you know,
weird.
Okay.
He's I mean, he's awkwardly trying to eat with his non-dominant hand, and what is it? And you notice he's not eating a lot.
Fair.
Oh,
What were you saying, Billy?
Mental note.
so as soon as he says, do you really want to see the cave? I blurt out, what time is it?
Just after sunset, so
I think it might be best to wait until morning. Can you keep yourself under control there, Oak, until morning?
He takes like a deep inhale of like a kid waiting for Christmas presents. Maybe. Yeah.
Right.
I can. I got self-control. I can do it. I don't. It's just
So you said it's dangerous out there, it's wilderness.
I said it was dangerous for the kid to go out alone. He looked like he was about to head out there by himself. I mean,
He might have. But honestly, what is out there? What could happen if we went out there?
you ever heard of the Michigan tiger?
Have I ever heard of the Michigan tiger?
Which ones of you are from Michigan?
I am.
The
I'm from
characters. The characters.
I know I'm
Me.
from the closest city.
Okay. The two Michigan folk. First, I want to see if Carrie. I don't know if that's what they're actually called.
I've never heard of the Michigan
Okay.
tiger. Carrie in real life has not.
It's God, I can't.
Heard of a lot of cryptids, but
Hold on a second. I want to make sure.
I've heard of Detroit Tigers. I've never heard of Michigan
I
Tigers.
want to make sure I'm
God
getting
bless
this
you,
right.
Chad.
I thought it was the Detroit Lions.
God bless you. Oh my God. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Just-
He says the Manitou Tigers, not the Michigan Tigers. He said, "You ever heard of the Manitou Tiger?"
Oh, the Manitou tiger. Can't say that I have. I guess Rosie maybe has. Like her dad was a park ranger. Like
I'm
her
gonna go ahead
first
since you guys
generation
don't
dad was a
know.
park ranger.
Since you guys don't know, I'm gonna say you probably. This is a new one for you. They mostly
Little?
hang out around the base of trees. They dig tunnels. And if you leave any food unattended, they'll steal it, shoving it in their cheeks until they get really big and huge. And then Sophie starts laughing, and through laughing, you just hear her say, "Dad, they're chipmunks." And he starts laughing. That's actually a nickname for the very large quantity of chipmunks on the Manitou Islands. They call them the Manitou Tigers. And they kind of laugh about it. And he says, "No, it's, well, you know, it's still wilderness out there. You got boar hogs and I haven't seen them, but the loggers tell that there's at least a couple of wolves out there, coyotes, that kind of thing, badger."
So
there's also a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, you gotta
So
watch out for that.
anyone that's paying attention to this conversation, or more importantly to Billy, as this guy is talking, like, you can see, like, his he's listening intently, and you can see, like, it's almost as if his eyes are, like, cataloging, and, you know, it's like, all right, no threat, no threat, no threat, until he says to the T-Rex.
Yeah, right.
So what does Grumpy Pants do when you guys go to sleep?
Fortunately, he sleeps. He seems to have somehow synchronized with Sophie here. When she's sleepy, he gets sleepy. When she's excited, he gets a bit excited. When she's upset, well, watch out.
I think Laz actually like shoots Coop a look whenever he's describing this connection to see if, like, is that something that Coop's dealt with before? Is it similar?
It's Laz asking Coop?
No,
or
he
are
kinda
you
just
asking
looks-
me?
He's just looking at Coop to see if he's just like nodding along to this conversation, if he seems to be acknowledging like it's working the same for him at all.
Yeah, whatchamacallit, when they talk about the connection and whatnot, Coop mentally is not making the connection that about telepathy. He thinks that they're just talking about feelings, you know? So he's like,
Laz, since you are scrutinizing in this way, I'd like you to make a brains check.
Good ones.
So Sophie's like 12.
Looks to be about 11 or 12.
It's a big 3.
Mm-hmm. They might get a 1 or a 2. Glass half full now.
Given the degree to which you understand each other, you know each other's sort of what each other's abilities are, this sounds like where everything Coop's described has been almost exclusively telepathic, outside of the use of his power glove hand. His abilities have all seemed to have been telepathic, where what Sophie and now Mr. Talmud are describing, it sounds empathic. That's about the most you can make out of it.
So is Sophie at the table with us, or is she off to the side?
Oh, she's at the table sitting next to her dad.
So, Sophie, this connection you have with animals, what kind of stuff can you do?
She looks at you for a moment. I would like you to make a charm check.
quick check. Oh, this might come out a little less charming than I want to.
So scary right now.
Well,
Hey,
I'm not as
kid.
charming.
Billy's
I'm
got
not as
extra
charming
hairs
as,
sprouting from his face,
right.
and he's talking all gruff.
So I have a 6, which turns it into a 3. So I want to use 2 pops and make it a 5.
Attaboy. Everybody check off pop
So-
chomped on your bingo card.
2 pops, which would put us at 44. Quick adjustment. Just make sure you have all your pops. So a 5 beats her 3. What you feel Billy, is as she's looking at you, it feels like, I'll tell you what's happening, you tell me what it feels like to you, I guess.
Okay.
She's trying to connect with you empathically.
All right.
But she's hitting some kind of a barrier. So what does that feel like when you feel like you are being tempted to be connected to? And it's kind of like somebody sending you an airdrop on your phone, and it's like, do you want to accept this? You're like, no, I don't want that. Or you can,
So,
knowing with that check, you know what's happening. You can choose to allow the connection if you want.
all right. So Billy's line of thought is, all right, she can connect with animals, and as we see with the T-Rex, get them to calm down. Part of me is an animal that, if it goes out of control, causes major problems. So my first instinct is initially get outside and just be in nature and not near the people that I'd rather not hurt right now. And then it's like, oh, well, she can control animals. And I'm like, okay, maybe if I figure out what's going on here, maybe she can get me to settle. So there's a little bit of frustration as I see that there's a bit of a challenge with her connecting. And I would gather that there's probably, maybe not a verbal, but a physical, like, strain on my face that comes to, like, I'm frustrated or trying to concentrate on something and realize that I can kind of calm down a little bit on my own and open the connection. So I will do that.
You're going to allow her to connect.
Yep.
As you allow her to connect, it's almost like somebody was leaning against the door trying to push it open, and you just pulled it open. And she suddenly comes stumbling in mentally.
So
which means
would I have the sense of knowing that somebody was pushing on the door that I could be there to catch?
you can attempt that if you want
Okay.
to make another charm versus charm roll.
All right. All right. That's a fail.
Well, you say a fail. What's the number?
-2.
Oh, yeah, that's a.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the delivery.
Is that,
That was
the
funny.
lowest roll we've ever had on this
It's gotta
show?
be.
I'm pretty sure that's a record.
Because I'm like, I just rolled a 2. I'm like, how bad can it be? Like, -2. So, no, you don't. And what happens is, as she mentally comes stumbling in, sort of the opposite reaction happens to her physically, as she suddenly pushes back away from the table, and she kind of knocks over her bowl of stew, and she pushes back away from the table and kind of stumbles over her seat and pushes back, bumping into the cupboard behind her, rattling the dishes inside. And she looks around frantically like she's a trapped animal. And her dad reaches over, Sophie, dear. And as he tries to touch her, she suddenly, like, with her teeth goes, "Hi!"
Ooh.
Ooh. And he's looking around, and he's like, I'm sorry, Sophie. And she goes, oh, and she shakes her head, and she looks at you, Billy, and in your head, Sophie goes, I had no idea.
It's a burden.
You don't have to worry. The moon won't be full for 3 more days.
Oh, so you don't have to worry.
But you don't. You feel so alone.
At times, it definitely feels that way.
Well, then I've got some good news for you. There's more of your kind here on the island.
Really?
When the moon is full, I can sense them, but they never let me in.
I have not met many like myself. Only those in my immediate family that I've truly connected with. When I am from, there are a lot of, shall we say, interesting folk.
Well, if you want me to help you stay calm, I can.
As soon as your dad mentioned that you could keep Grumpy Pants calm, that was my initial reaction. I could already feel the moon calling to me. I knew that I don't want to put others in danger.
You care for your friends.
I do.
I can tell. They are lucky to have you.
Well, we've been through a lot together, for good or for ill. I could say in a lot of ways I'm lucky to have them.
Well, if you need me to help keep you calm, if you think you can't handle it, I can help, but I think they are lucky to have you, and you are strong enough to protect them, too.
My mind wanders for a second when she uses the word strong, and I shake my head, and it's just a momentary thing. That is generally what I like to do.
What was that? That felt like shame.
And it's more loneliness, more pang of loss.
Well,
there is someone that was kind of taken from me. I didn't even get to say goodbye.
Awkward for Rosie.
You feel a little bit of extra sadness wash over you as you catch, empathy goes both ways in this connection. You feel sadness washing over Sophie. She says, I lost my mom.
That can be tough. I've never lost my mom, but I've definitely had major familial issues and changes. We've been, I even though they're not here in my mental space, I gesture to the sides to kind of like indicate those sitting around the table. We've been through more than most would ever dream of handling. All of our lives turned upside down over and over again. It's kind of wrong to, as teenagers, experience everything we've done so far.
Can only imagine. I can't explain some of these feelings that are coming from you, but I can tell you and your friends, you're not from here. And
Well, we are just not from this time.
well, with what Father's working on, might be able to help you. And you sense a genuine sense of hope and happiness when she says this. You have to see what he's working on in the cave.
Well, I look forward to it. Love to see. I'm certain, Oak would as well. Oak is, he's young, but he's brilliant and loves all the gadgety stuff. So it's quite possible that Oak would be able to offer a lot of assistance.
So, Coop, roll me your free D6, please.
My free D6
Yeah.
Yep.
is a 3.
Okay. You're
Should I
not.
keep going?
Well, that's up
Do
to
you
you.
want to?
If you want to push, that 3 gets you little tiny bursts of static that you. Because I'd like to point out that this entire time, Billy and Sophie are mentally connected and telepathically speaking to one another, as the rest of you are having whatever conversations or however you reacted to that. Coop, you're catching up.
I feel
you're
like
catching
Coop
bits of
wouldn't have been
static.
paying attention until she jumped up and reacted weird.
Well, and that's sort of where
Right.
the connection happened.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to try to push to eavesdrop on this conversation,
Sure, I'm pushing.
Do it.
That's a 4.
7?
a 4 total or a new 4?
A new 4.
Okay, 7. Hold on, I haven't given you a DC yet. The DC is +1. 1 0 still, or +0 +1. Location, +0. Scope is medium. You're at a 5. So with that first token used, you have that momentary headache as you sort of connect, but otherwise no ill effects, and you have just eavesdropped in on this entire exchange between Sophie and Billy. I will say,
Excellent.
as you're doing that, if you wanted to push, and I would say this would increase the DC to We were at a 5. This would make it a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
I don't think you can
15.
stop. I don't think.
Hold
Coop
on.
would
Let me tell you
push
what it is,
because-
though. It would be a DC 20. 19.
Fuck me.
If you wanted to push past this sort of tapping in and eavesdropping and try to push into one of their kind of like, while they are speaking telepathically, there's another level of subconscious that's active underneath that. If you wanted to try to push it, you could try to basically eavesdrop on the next on Sophie's subconscious.
I'm not gonna lie, Jacob. It's intriguing, but the reality is that I have to get a 13 in 2 dice or less, and I don't see that happening.
Buy in 2 dice or less.
Yeah, because I'm at 7,
You
right?
only-
So,
right.
and I don't want to push it past 4.
Well, that'd be 3 dice because you used 1 for free.
All right.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I just wanted to put that out there, give you the
Plus,
opportunity.
Tamiko is suspicious as fuck of Billy because Ted's being diabolical, but remember that Coop trusts him implicitly right now.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. So as we sort of move to realizing that Coop has listened in on this whole thing and decided not to push in any further, we kind of come back out to the table where we see that Mr. Talmud is kind of checking. He's like, are you sure you're okay? And she's like, no, I'm fine. It was. And she kind of looks around the table.
Talgarn?
What's that?
Isn't it Mr. Talgarn?
No. It's Thorgarn Talmud is his name.
I thought it was Thormwood Talgarn.
No, we joked about
We
that.
were joking about that later.
Oh, okay.
We were joking about that. His
that
name
would
is
be entirely too
Thorgarn Talmud. Because every time I say his name, you'll notice a pause because I'm trying to make sure I say the right one. Don't want to give you any freebies tonight.
complicated.
I forgot what I was saying. Oh, she looks around the table, and her eyes kind of settle on you, Billy, as she just says, "I think it's just more people than I've been around. I had to kind of turn it off." And she glances up at him, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah, maybe it is best if we wait till morning. I'll take you down to the caves. To the cave." And he says, "Well, you all are welcome to stay here." He glances over to where Ashley's kind of still... Now she's less unconscious, and she seems to have shifted into just being asleep. And he says, "If you wanted at least a couple more of you could probably fit on the bed. And I've got plenty of floor over here and plenty of blankets. And he says, everybody get some rest, and I'll take you down to the cave in the morning." And that's where we're going to take a break.
Rosie calls dibs on the bed. If I sleep one more fucking night on the floor, I am gonna be too sore to continue.
I think given that it's 1885, Mr. Thorgarn is going to insist that only Rosie and Sophie are able to lie on the bed
Yeah,
with Ashley.
Slumber party for the girls.
And he would actually indicate to Coop and Oak, the smaller of the two, to where Sophie's loft is, that the two of you can go up there, leaving Billy and Laz to grab a chair or the floor, or what have you. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a short break, 5 to 10 minutes, and we will see you on the other side.
Badoinkle.
I don't know what just happened there. And we're back. It is night. We have 3 distinct groups of sleeping folks. Billy and Laz crashing out on the floor. Rosie with Ashley and Sophie. And Oak and Coop up in the loft. I would like Rosie, based on something you actually said before you came on stream again, I would like you to roll a grit check.
Amazing. I will. Here I go. 8.
If you choose
You know
to,
what? I'm gonna use 2 pops to make that a 10.
okay.
2.
What that means?
10 feels good.
8 was good. 10 is better. What that means is, whoops. Again.
You do wake up to find Ashley Raven ready to fucking kill you.
No, that grit check means that you are able to willfully sleep lightly without suffering any sort of exhaustion.
Ooh, there we go.
It was a question of, are you going to succumb completely to sleep? Or are you going to, you with the 8, you were at, I'm really tired, but I'm kind of keeping myself awake. And you were going to be very tired the next day, and you were going to suffer some penalties. Pushing it to a 10, you're able to basically make yourself essentially sleep with one eye open.
Nice.
Coop and Oak. What's going on up in the loft?
So I imagine that Oak has to kind of help Coop up because it's not stairs, right? It's a ladder.
Correct.
Yeah, Oak has to kind of help me out because, like,
yep,
because Coop's one arm in it, and and once we get up to the top and start settling down, I imagine that Oak pulls out a notepad to start writing stuff down immediately. But Coop turns and looks at you and goes,
Oak, there's something really weird going on.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff, but be more specific.
So, you know, the guy, Sophie's dad? I can never remember his name. So weird.
Almond, I think, or sounds like almond something or other. Maybe, I don't know.
Oak,
Almond?
it's my dad.
Wait, that guy down there is your dad?
Yeah, I mean, he's younger, but he's my dad.
Coop, honestly, I thought, like, Jake was your dad. Like, at this point, that's all I knew.
Oh, no, his boyfriend, Jake.
Oh, okay.
Not daddy. Not Jaddy.
No, not Jaddy.
Not Jaddy, yeah.
Jaddy. Oh my gosh. Side note, I almost called this session Father Figure.
Stop it. Oh my god, that would have been great. Fuck.
Which is an in-joke for exactly 2 people here, but...
Okay, well, I mean, then isn't that is that a good thing or a bad thing, or did you like?
Not really a good thing. My dad doesn't really like me. But this
Okay.
guy doesn't seem to know me at all.
Oh. Well then, like maybe it's a. This is cool. Maybe this is good then, because then like if he is your dad, then you could like start a new relationship with him or something. But
Don't you think it's weird though?
yeah,
The girl down
horribly
there,
weird.
she might be a timeline sister or something. We might be related. Like, she can talk to animals. I talk to animals.
Yeah. I mean, okay, yes, it's very weird, but at least like think about it like this. Wouldn't it be cool or better for you to have like some sort of relationship with them rather than like not seeing where that might lead?
Well, I'm not gonna go up to the guy and say, "Hey, I think you're my dad,"
Well,
because
no,
that never goes well.
no, I don't think that would, especially not right now.
I don't know what it means, but
This
I
is
mean,
And Coop vaguely gestures all around.
like, is it just another weird thing that's happening here?
I mean, look, I have. Coop, I witnessed. I don't even know if I've. I witnessed my own birth and my own death, man. At some point, you lose track of what timelines mean. Okay.
I had forgotten all about that.
Yeah,
Now
I
it's
know.
in my head again.
I know. Black it
Ew.
out. Black it out. Okay. There's a whole reason that whole thing was censored. Like,
Oh, well,
sorry.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about any of this. But,
No, I know.
oh,
But if you want to do something about it, I'm here for you.
so did you know that I was able to tap into the dinosaur?
You talk to Grumpy Pants?
He doesn't talk. He talks in like pictures and stuff. And I got to see like the Cretaceous period, and I got to see him getting trapped and finding the cave and going through the cave and ending up here. It was so cool.
Grumpy Pants plays Thought Pictionary. That is like the most awesome thing ever.
Right? Oh, and
Yes.
Get this. Sophie had a
Uh-huh.
whole ass conversation with Billy with their minds.
Whoa.
Right?
That's okay. That's a lot. That's going on the board. Okay. So Sophie, he like starts.
Oh,
Sophie,
we need to watch. We need to look
you-
out for Billy because he sounded really sad when he talked about Anne.
I have a
Oh,
question. This loft, it's all I'm picturing like Little House on the Prairie.
We're
It's
whispering.
pretty-
This is stage whisper.
Oh, okay. You're whispering. I'm sorry. I thought you were just having a fucking
We're just
conversation.
whole
like,
ass talk
Listen
like
here.
5 feet above
in
my
the,
head.
in the 20 by 20 structure we're in. No,
Listen
we're
here, Carrie.
whispering.
Okay.
We have an 1885 scarf, and I'm ripping it apart to make more red string up here. Okay.
quickly to the string.
Quickly to the string, my friends. It looks like a cat's cradle up in this loft.
Oh hell yeah.
But yeah, this is wild.
But look, I'm just glad. Look, I'm glad that there's somebody here that has similar powers to you, and that's really cool. And also, I think, especially right now, this place, the shoreline, all those things, I think we might be in certain nexus points. I think this might be one.
Like the lighthouse?
Or, yeah, like the lighthouse. Like when Mr. Grumpy Pants was taking us from the shoreline to here, I felt it.
You
But,
could
like-
feel it?
Yeah, I don't know. It was really faint, but I could. It's like a current.
Oh, and Coop reaches into his non-existent blazer and pulls out the specs and hands them to you. And he says,
I mean, we weren't able to see anything from the
tavern that's name I can't remember.
we weren't
Did
able
it
to
have
see
a
anything.
name?
It did have a
It
name.
has a name, yeah.
Oh,
I'll tell you
I
in
was
a
gonna
minute.
say the white deer, but that's different.
Nope.
Different game.
Funny
Different
if it
game.
was.
Eagle's Perch.
We couldn't see anything from the Eagle's Perch door. But I mean, if you felt the ley lines, you should be able to see them, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I couldn't see anything, but I felt stuff. So that means that if we're in space that can do that, that means that our powers can work stronger when we're near them. So we're not powerless anymore. That's good.
Yeah.
Question is what
Cool.
we do after that. Also, how's your hand?
It's still covered in mud, but it's doing okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid to take it off because I
Me
don't
too,
want-
buddy.
Yeah, yeah. So what if we do this? What if we just wrap your arm in a blanket for tonight, right? Like we take a blanket, wrap it over it, and then we can. It'll be all right, and then we figure it out
We
from
can
there.
wrap it with the poncho.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
I'm
And then
so
we'll
happy
go
the
down-
poncho is finding use.
And then we'll go down to the cave tomorrow, and things will be great. And I hope that we get some more answers when we get to the cave.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really looking forward to the cave.
I feel like as they're
too.
wrapping, Coop's hand with the poncho, it's kind of
Mhm.
like when little kids are supposed to be sleeping, and all you can hear is that, but they're also just moving around constantly.
Rustle,
Yeah,
rustle,
we're
rustle.
making
Yeah,
a lot
rustle,
of
rustle,
noise.
rustle, rustle,
Yes.
rustle, rustle.
You hear all the consonants.
Yeah.
And I think with
Until Rosie grabs a broom and goes bang, bang,
Boom, boom,
bang.
boom! Shut up!
with
I'm trying
the
to half sleep down here.
with the sound of rustling, we'll shift to Billy and Laz.
So where does Laz decide to kip up for the night? Or lay down, whatever you want to.
Yeah, I think if he had like an extra blanket or something that he could kind of like lay out, someplace on the floor, he's just gonna put that out and use his backpack as like a little bit of a rise on the end of the blanket so you can use it as a pillow. Is it still pretty cold here at night?
It gets cool, but there's a fire blazing in the fireplace, so it's staying warm enough in here.
I think he probably sets up somewhere near the fireplace in that case.
So Billy, lays out, the blanket that was provided, and kind of does similar to you, but he doesn't like lay down just yet. He sets the backpack to be like a pillow, but puts it underneath the blanket, so maybe it's a little bit softer. But he kind of like sits down against the wall, looking at your direction. He doesn't say anything for a moment, and if you don't start the conversation, he looks in your direction and says, "Can I be honest?"
Yeah, man. You good?
So I don't know whether you noticed anything extra weird at dinner beyond, Sophie kind of spazzing out, but it's 3 days to the full moon, and I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know what the cycle was here, but I started to feel the transition as the moon started to rise today. And during dinner, Sophie actually kind of sensed something and reached out to me. And she apparently says there are other folk like me here. I don't know if it's ancient relatives or just somebody else, but I just wanted at least, somebody to be aware of what's going on.
All right. Well,
She
maybe
says-
there's some good reasoning behind not going out at night.
She says that she hasn't been able to connect with them like she does with Grumpy Pants, but she's pretty sure that she can, as she does to a frickin' dinosaur, she's pretty sure she can be able to keep me under control if need be. But I don't know how much I want to leave everyone's fate to a 12-year-old.
Right.
I mean, we are trusting. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there.
Do you think that maybe we need to, like, get some silver or something? Or
God, I hope not. I just, I feel safe enough that if okay, it's nighttime, you guys are all inside, I'm gonna go out and stay out. I think that should be fine. But things are weird here. I had it under control back at home, but every time we think we've got control, every time we think that we have a handle on what's going on, there's yet another change. And there's almost a little bit of a growl as he puts it out there. And there's a bit of a vehemence, to it, like more venom in the words.
Yeah. I understand you being worried, but look, I mean, we've done pretty good so far,
But how many close calls have we had?
I mean, a lot.
What would have happened if that T-Rex wasn't under Sophie's control? What honestly could we have done? Sure, I'd have thrown myself at it, but I don't know that I could take out a T-Rex.
No, I don't imagine many of us could. Maybe Rosie. But you can't lead your life by the what ifs. Shit's gonna happen to you. It doesn't matter how much you hide or how much you try to stay safe. Shit just happens, and you just gotta.
I'm aware of things happening, and again, he's letting a little bit of anger, come out that he doesn't like. He's not meaning for it to come across. But it's harder. When you watch Rosie's games, you know what the rules are, and you know who the bad guy is. You know how hard it is to do what we do with no path, no adversary and clear method of victory. It's just
different though, like in Rosie's games, there's a winner and a loser. Life doesn't work that way. Some days you win, some days you lose, but there aren't winners and losers. We're not winning anything. We're just surviving.
Yes, but I feel like with everything that keeps happening, sure, we survive, but I feel like, and whether you pick up on it or not, he uses the word I feel like I'm losing. You know, we've been robbed of the summer. It disappeared faster than what should have been possible. We didn't get to even finish the school year, and for some that's whatever. Um, but we lost friends, we've lost our family, we lost, you know, everything that's kind of become our home. Every time we turn around, there's something else that's, you know, pulled away. And I wonder, with each time this happens, are we losing part of ourself as well?
And I don't know. I feel like I'm losing part of my mind. It's hard to keep track of, what's going on and who's going where and which version of myself is real anymore. And but I do know that from everything I remember from before coming to Paradise is I've never had friends like you guys before. I've never had people that had my back the way that all of you have my back. And to me, I mean, that means that I've gained something instead of lost something,
I can understand how that can make you feel. I try to save everything from all the lives that we've lived, all the things that we've done. And I worry how many memories have slipped through. And I try to cling to the things that meant the most. And I agree with you that we can't just be looking backwards, but I'm getting tired of the guessing games of what we have to do next. Was it us or them that pushed us here? And I don't see any sense of the project here. I don't sense any of the typical nonsense. But at the same time, what the hell are we doing so far in our past? Is there really a way to get to an open future by coming, 130 some years before we were born?
Oh, that's why I'm trying to find answers, why I'm trying to ask questions of the people here and trying to figure out where to start, because I know that once we get Oak plugged into whatever's going on and we can start like figuring stuff out and he can attach strings to shit, that we'll find an answer. We'll find a way through, and it might just lead to more bullshit. I'm sure that it will. That's just, I don't know what else to do.
I apologize for dropping, heavy on you before sleep.
No, man. Like, there's a lot going on, and I imagine, especially if you're close to, the whole wolf thing. Like, I totally get it.
All right. Well, why don't you get some rest? I'm just gonna sit here and look at the fire for a while. I'll eventually get some sleep.
All right. Just let me know if you need anything else,
Absolutely. So Billy will sit there and he'll just try to keep an ear out for Laz's sound of slumber. And whether Laz decides to fake it to see what Billy does or whether he honestly goes to sleep. When Billy thinks that Laz is, sound asleep, he goes over and as quietly as possible goes into his backpack and he pulls out a picture and says, Jeremy.
Jesus Christ.
He goes into his backpack and pulls out the picture that he got, from the lighthouse, and he looks at the picture of him and Anne at the dance for just a little while, and then slips it back into his backpack and goes to sleep.
Amazing.
As you put the picture away again, and we hear the sounds of soft snoring from around the cabin, the camera pans back just a little bit where Thorgarn Talmud has chosen to sleep in a chair leaning near the door. And as Billy, you go and put the picture back in the backpack and you lay down and actually go to sleep, we just see one of his eyes open up as he looks over at you, realizing he has heard your guys' entire conversation. The astute viewer will notice that I rolled a couple of D10s, one of which exploded during that conversation.
Oh, that's what it was. You son of a bitch.
You see that second D10 or third D10 I just rolled? That was a 1.
Missed it.
The 1.
Yeah, that Ashley stays asleep all night. So.
Oh, good. She's concussed. She's severely concussed.
Well, a good night's
Contrary
rest.
to popular belief, it's okay and encouraged for people to get rest and sleep when they're concussed.
Correct. We don't do the every 2 hours thing anymore.
Turns out
This has
that
been
was
Medical
hurting him.
Facts at MTD. Welcome.
It is the next morning, and as everybody is getting up, Mr. Talmud's already up and has coffee on. And as you all are climbing out of the loft and getting up, stretching, yawning, Rosie, you notice that as you wake up, Ashley Raven is awake and sitting on the edge of the bed. Do you say anything to her?
Yeah, I would kind of like get, like, I'd wake up and I'd sit up too, and I'd be like, how's your head?
Better.
Does everything else feel okay?
She kind of, you can see her kind of looking over. For a moment, she's looking kind of startled, like, what did you do to me? And then she's like, I'm sore. Still don't remember how I got here.
We rode on the back of a T-Rex.
I vaguely remember a time. Okay. I was talking about how I got here, even where we are, not this place. As she looks around at the cabin before the dinosaur, I still don't know how I got here. So,
well, that's the $1 million question. And Rosie kind of swings her. I imagine Rosie kind of swings her legs around the end of the bed and like sits beside Ashley Raven on the bed and just kind of says, because none of us know that either. Now we're trying to figure it out so we can figure out how to get back.
all right, well, I guess I'll just stick with you guys and I'm just as lost as you are.
Now, the reason she like went full on Carrie was because she thought we were like out to get her or something, right? It was a couple episodes. It was last episode, 2 episodes ago. I don't know. But she went full berserk because like because Laz said her name. That was it.
Yeah, it felt a little overreacty, in my opinion. But maybe, I don't know.
You know,
To be fair, it was because you said her name, you lied about where you knew her from, and she's already had a really bad time with teenagers from Paradise, and she claims to not know what happened in the barn. And you told her that she did a lot of violence in the barn.
Okay. So I just kind of like look at her one more time and I just go, none of us are out to get you, you know.
For now, I don't have a choice but to believe that, I guess. Why?
And yeah, go ahead.
Does it look like we're on like we've taken a trip to historic Jamestown?
And Rosie kind of stands up and stretches and grabs her flannel off of the end of the bedpost and starts putting it on, and she kind of shrugs and she's like, well, I think it's because we seem to be on South Manitou Island in 1880 something, and
1855.
That's and cowboy times. 1855. Sorry, numbers are hard. And I shrug and I'm like, so yeah, like, you know, cowboy times, but on this island.
She kind of whispers at you. 1855. 100 years in the past.
Yeah. And then Rosie kind of smiles to herself. It's just like, you know, a little bit more for me and the gang there, but yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just stick with you and follow your lead.
I think that's probably a good idea.
And about that time, Mr. Talmud says, all right, gang, who's ready to go check out the weird cave?
Oh my god,
That's
I
when
love
the children
his vibe.
come scrambling down the ladder.
Boom, 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 boom. You hear him. Oh, yeah, 100%. That is adorable.
Ready to go, sir.
Because you guys are, you're going to see something, because even though you're here, well, I still plan to go forward with my plan, so. And you can see that Sophie gives kind of a weak smile, but a smile. And he's got a rucksack with some stuff, and he says, all right, come on. And he heads out the door. He does wait out in sort of that front yard area as he waits for everybody to come out.
Was there just coffee, or was there actual breakfast as well?
There was no breakfast laid out, just coffee.
Okay.
The stew from the night before.
Pretty full from the night before. Rosie grabs her backpack and her bat and walks out with Mr. Talmud.
All right. Mr. Talmud leads the gang out and around to the sandy path that leads down sort of like a cut into the side of this where the sand dune kind of cuts off, and you can see pieces of rock jutting out from the sand dune. And it's a path that leads around and curves down towards the beach. And it leads you into, as you come around, you're suddenly looking into the mouth of a very large cave. The cave yawns open beneath this jagged overhang. Its entrance partially obscured by hanging, creeping ivy and the gnarled roots of the trees above. As you enter the cave, the air inside is thick with damp earth, laced with the faint metallic tang of something unnatural. The walls are slick with condensation, glistening in the dim glow of scattered clusters of crystals embedded in the stone. These crystals pulse faintly, soft blues, greens, and violets, casting eerie shadows that shift and dance, almost as if the cave itself is breathing. The light intensifies slightly every few moments, in sync with something unseen, something deeper within. Further inside, the chamber expands and the crystals grow denser, framing the heart of the cave. A swirling, shimmering rift in reality. The portal is a jagged tear in the air itself. I just lost my place. There we go. Its edges are flickering between ghostly translucence and oily darkness. Colors ripple through it. Some familiar, others alien and wrong. It hums, not loud, but a sensation that settles in the bones, a low, resonant vibration. Scattered around the portal are signs of crude experimentation litter the cavern floor. Wires stripped and twisted together, components scavenged from different eras, vacuum tubes from old radios, circuit boards that look like they belong in a 21st century computer, rusted levers from an old steam engine. Some of it's fused together in ways that defy logic, as if whoever built this didn't fully understand how it worked, only that it might work. A battered control panel, its switches and dials mismatched and crudely labeled, crackles intermittently with static discharge. Something shifts in the dark corner of the cavern, deep and rumbling, like the earth itself stirring in its sleep. Mr. Grumpy Pants lies curled in the shadows, a hulking mass of prehistoric muscle and bone, his thick hide rising and falling with slow, heavy breaths. His nostrils twitch, his tail half buried in loose rock shifts slightly, sending pebbles tumbling. As you all step deeper into the cave, closer to the portal, it reacts. The glow of the crystals sharpen, the hum growing erratic, oscillating between a deep throbbing pulse and an unnatural, high-pitched whine. The air crackles with unseen energy, static, lifting the fine hairs on your arms, your necks. The portal flickers, distorting, its edges fraying like an old VHS tape unraveling in real time. It's impossible to tell what it means, but somehow your presence here is interacting or interfering with the portal. Mr. Talmud goes, huh? It's never done that before. He kind of looks over at Sophie. The light in here is dim, lit only by the pulsing glow of the strange crystals surrounding the portal. Their lights flickering against the walls, shifting in those colors: blue, green, violet. A little bit brighter, pulsing a little more, that sound sort of, and it dips down into a low hum that's almost subsonic. And you feel this feeling. There's almost something electric in the air, like the moment before lightning strikes. Everything seems just a little bit off as you look around this portal, almost like looking through a heat haze. Mr. Talmud walks over to a corner by these, or an area over by where all this sort of slapped together machinery is. And you see that there is a almost, well, it seems very out of place even amidst all this stuff. It's almost like a doorless wardrobe stands next to one of these components. Inside, there's what looks to be an old diving suit hanging on a frame. As he looks over at all of you and he says, all right, this is going to be fun. Sophie walks over and the two of them start pulling pieces of this diving suit off the frame. It's made of old, thick leather and metal plates, brass fittings. She's moving quickly, working the straps with her small but steady hands, fastening buckles, each buckle, as her father shrugs into the heavy material. There's a rhythm to it. It's like they've done this before, like she knows exactly what to do. In moments, he's fully suited into this. His head almost looks small now in this big, heavy diving suit. Then he walks over to what looks like a large, a makeshift reel stand with a large wooden reel, and there's rope and cables and hoses attached there. And he unrolls, pulling some of it, and then he hands these to her, and he turns around and she clips on the rope, and then she starts hooking on with fittings what look like air hoses. As she checks the connections, as she puts them on, you hear these hisses of air. Next to this reel, she walks over and she flips a couple switches and she presses a button, and you hear an old pressure pump. It seems to have this same sort of cobbled together nature to it as this pump begins to rumble, and you can see the lines sort of react a little bit to air moving through them. They look at each other. Sitting over on the side of the console is the helmet, its glass faceplate reflecting the shifting light of the portal. He starts to reach for it, and then he turns to Sophie. He glances over at all of you. And he hesitates for a moment. And then he reaches over to where he had taken off his jacket, and he reaches into a pocket of that jacket, and he pulls something out of it. Small brass compass, worn and smooth, the edges dulled by years of handling. You can just make out, though you can't quite see it, you can just make out a name etched on the back of this compass. It looks like three, like a first, a middle, and a last name etched into it. He presses it into Sophie's palm, curling her fingers around it. Your mother gave this to me on the day we got married. She told me it would always lead me home. I want you to hold on to this. I don't need a compass to lead me back to you. Sophie looks down at the compass and her fingers tighten around it. For a moment she just stares, as if trying to memorize every detail, every scratch and dent in the metal. She finally looks up. There's something hard in her eyes. She doesn't say anything. She just nods. Thorgarn Talmud exhales, and he lifts the helmet. We see for a moment the view from his viewpoint as the helmet is put in place and latches are locked into place. The world narrows. There's a sharp hiss as, with the helmet in place, the air, and then the rhythmic thrum of the pump. And then the view turns, and through this viewport we see him turn away from Sophie, and he looks at all of you. He holds out a big thumbs up, and then he turns towards the portal. Crystals around it flare, their glow pulsing erratically. The hum in the air shifts, growing sharper and more chaotic. As he steps closer, the reaction gets stronger. Another step, and static charge crackles across the cavern floor, and the dust around begins to sort of kick up. Arcs of static electricity are now moving from the crystals to him in his diving suit. You don't know if it's reacting to him or because of him. And then he steps forward another step, gives one turn sort of in your direction, but he can't quite turn his head far enough to see you all. Then the light bends around him, the air distorts with a pop. Thorgarn Talmud is gone. Safety lines and the air hoses hang floating in that rift in space. You can see the reel moving and the lines pulling in as he steps in to the portal and vanishes. What do you all do?
So,
Rosie kind of was like watching this, and then like when he oh, go ahead.
So where does that portal go?
We don't really know.
I watched, like, that was practiced. Like, you've done this a lot.
We've practiced for this day. We practiced suiting up, and we practiced getting out of the suit and turning the machines on and making sure everything worked. And
Well, do we need to pull him back?
So wait, you haven't dived like that before?
no, we've only seen things that have come out of it. He's trying to see if he can find the way to, well, what's on the other side, and hopefully get Mr. Grumpy Pants back where he belongs.
But if that could lead to anywhere, like, if he walked in there and there's a whole bunch of dinosaurs, like, he's not prepared to go fight dinosaurs.
Oh, he's not going to fight dinosaurs. If he sees something, he'll pull on the lines, and then I'll hit this button, and it will start reeling him back in.
And then Rosie is like locked in then on the lines to make sure there's no like jumping, like anything that would look like a pull.
Can I get somebody to roll me a d10, please?
I will. It's a 3.
Thank you.
Also, while all of that crackling energy was kind of like dancing all around, Laz is gonna try to absorb some of it.
There's a surge of it just as he passes through. I would like you to roll your free d6.
Do it. Do it.
Oh, that's a 2.
So
Not
the
a great
DC
start.
is... It's only a +1. This is going to be a +4, 5. How much this breaks the rules of the universe. And... DC 11.
Whoa. All right. All right. So here's the first one that cost me something. Hey, that's a 6. Okay. So that's 8
That
total,
explodes.
but it explodes.
Yep.
And then another 4, so that's 12.
That's 12. And you used,
used 2.
1 actual.
Oh, 1, right? Because it exploded. Nice. Okay, cool.
I think, yeah, you can describe what it looks like. The end result of which is you get a headache and a small trickle of blood from your nose.
Jeez.
Okay. I think there's a spot that he notices where there's 2 of these like crystalline formations with like a pretty steady like arc between them. And he literally just kind of like moves back and stands in between there and reaches out his hands, almost like when you're touching one of those plasma balls. Kind of like, you know, puts his hands on either side towards these crystals. And there's just like this change in the surface of the crystals, similar to like a plasma ball, where it becomes orange instead of like the cool colors that it was before. And I think that you can actually see like the bones and the veins and stuff in Laz's arms as he's like absorbing this.
That's badass.
So you have unstable tesseract energy stored in you.
All right.
In fact, I'm going to hold off on this. I've said it's unstable, but it'd be more appropriate to call it unknown. When there should come a time that you want to discharge this energy, I have a mechanic for determining how stable this energy is. So we'll get to that when that should happen. Is anybody else doing anything in the wake of this man diving into a time portal? Sophie's just sort of standing there. She's kind of turning the compass over and over in her hands and looking up nervously. She's staying near where the reel is and where that emergency switch is. But she's just kind of turning this compass over and over, and she keeps looking up at the portal and back at the compass. And
Oak is like he's like a kid who just got to go to a theme park for the first time. He's like seeing all of this like really cool stuff, but also at the same time it's this how can I help, and he is peppering Sophie with questions like, how does this work? Like, do you know how this works? Do you know how this works? Because the more I know, the more I can help you. So if you know how these things work, like help me help you out, because this is like I will be your anchor on the other side. I'll be the other piece. Whatever you need me to do to keep this going, I'll help do that.
Sophie kind of still the whole time kind of glancing at the portal and holding this compass. She's like, Dad's the one that he kind of figured out how some of this stuff worked and worked together, and some of it seemed to just work here in the cave. It wouldn't work when we brought it up to the house. He kind of figured out by looking at how things were put together, and I don't know, he's just always had a knack for machinery and how things work. And
Jake, while she's talking to Oak is going to put on the ley line glasses.
If you put those,
see what I can see in the
second
cave.
you put those glasses on, it's like looking into the sun.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, ow.
I don't think any of you have actually put the ley line glasses on while standing in the middle of a nexus point.
No,
until now.
First,
We have Candle Point Lighthouse.
Didn't you also get blinded by it?
Mm-hmm.
Not that bad, but yeah, it was a little bright.
Yeah, this
It was
is
bright, just a skosh.
Just
Yeah.
looking into the sun during an eclipse, that's fine.
They're sunglasses in the truest sense of the word.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Wow. All right. Well, that confirms something for me. Okay.
What's
Well-
Sorry, go ahead.
Sophie, has anybody just question. Anybody around here ever, I don't know, refer to the cave as a nexus? Maybe? Or did your dad ever refer to it as maybe
Nobody's
Nexus?
ever used that word to refer to the cave, but there was a time about 6 months ago or so when a whole bunch of papers and boxes that had that word written on them, stamped on it with a logo, Nexus Project.
So Nexus Point, Nexus Project pieces came out of this?
Yeah, and she kind of points to where there's bits and pieces of stuff. It's she says we just
viable material. He's like gonna lay eyes on it and plan to comb through it when he can.
It mostly just looks like literal pieces of broken stuff.
Yeah.
She has already said that anything that they didn't think was that they could use, they just kind of they put it in the water and let the currents take it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
I would like. Well, hold on. I'm gonna hold off on that. What are you doing, Rosie, Billy? Well, Billy's not there.
I'm just
He was
kind
there.
of watching that rope and making sure it's not going slack.
Okay.
And then I guess since Laz is going over and trying to absorb this thing, I'm keeping an eye on him as well. I mean, Rosie's just kind of like waiting to see if there's anything she can do to help.
Okay.
Like she's kind of poised, I guess.
Billy's kind of in the same boat. Like, while he's prepared to help, he also thinks something is going to happen. And he is preparing to act, whether it's to defend, attack, move, save. He's on edge, kind of, probably lately just, transferring weight back and forth to his feet, looking around, trying to take in everything when probably the senses are a little overwhelmed in this place.
So Billy and Rosie are essentially holding their action.
Yes, exactly.
What's Coop? What are you doing?
Coop is actually gonna go move over to Sophie and be like,
Hi, we haven't really talked a lot yet. I don't want to distract from what you're doing, but I'm Kenny Cooper. My friends call me Coop. And I wanted to talk to you because
and he finishes the sentence with his mind. He says,
I can do this almost the same thing you can do.
She looks up with surprise, and you feel a push, just a light push, as she connects to you, and you feel that sudden wash of surprise from her. Oh, she says in your head. Okay. That's neat.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Can you only just talk?
Well, no, when I first found out I could do this, the very first thing I ever projected with my mind was was a sense of, oh my gosh, you need to run to my friend James, who's really similar to Mr. Grumpy Pants, except he wasn't a T-Rex, he was a giant alligator.
Oh. But can you normally feel what people feel, or that you...
I don't feel things that people, sometimes I do. I'm more hear things like a radio. Oh God, did they have radios in 1855?
You're standing in front of a time portal with cobbled together equipment. I think that's an irrelevant question right now.
It's a great question. Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes like I felt Mr. Grumpy Pants when he was afraid, and I really felt him when he got mad at Ashley.
She glances over where Ashley is just sort of standing there. She's doing that very uncomfortable, kind of huddling her arms, and she's kind of looking around at where everybody is, and she has that same... She almost has that like deer or rabbit looking like it's about ready to bolt out of fear, not out of like I'm trying to make an escape. Just any little change in the air or the sound seems like it's kind of putting her on edge. And she's like, yeah, I'm getting... That one's like afraid.
That's really weird because every time we've known her, she's never been afraid. And Coop leans in. She's actually pretty mean when she grows up. He looks thoughtful for a second and goes, actually, now that I think about it, she was pretty mean at this age too.
She seems to be... You sense confusion coming from her. She's kind of struggling to understand what you mean. And then she says, well, after Dad gets back, we should...
Yeah, about your dad. You've known him your whole life.
Jeez. What? Yeah?
That's a great...
That's my dad.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I mean, it's a really weird thing, but your dad kind of looks like my dad.
That's weird.
Right?
She's like, I mean... My dad kind of looks like most of the men I've seen around the logging camp, except he doesn't have a beard, but...
There are a lot of beards out there, huh?
Yeah.
So many beards.
I don't know, he said he's just never really cared that much for the beard and has always been clean shaven.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just the first thing I thought when I met him. But then he said his name and, it's a different name. Because that's not my dad. It's your dad.
She gives you a look.
And Coop kind of thinks about his dad. So that she can kind of maybe pick up on it a little bit.
She starts to pick up on that as you can see her like processing it. You can feel her confusion and she's trying to understand it. And you can see as she's looking into your eyes, the sort of glow of the crystals in the cavern. And you can even see reflected in each eye that sort of rift of the portal hanging in the air. And suddenly there's a violent, sudden jerk against the safety lines and the air hoses. The safety lines snap taut, whipping through the dust and dragging small stones across the cavern floor, kicking up dust. The air hose suddenly follows, yanked so hard that the pump next to those of you that are standing there rattles and groans, and then it sounds like a fishing reel being dragged by a massive fish as it suddenly starts going. And the
Coop
rope
doesn't even have time to talk. He just does like a Donald Sutherland, like.
Wow! What a
Sophie immediately
pull.
no, and she throws herself forward and she starts to grab hold of the rope, and it immediately starts dragging her, and she jams her feet against a couple of these outcrops where the crystals are, almost getting lifted up.
Can I push the button?
And she yells, "Help!
Can I push the
Help
button?
me!"
Or no?
Yeah, you can. You can absolutely.
I would love to try to push the button. Okay.
You don't have to
I
roll
pushed the
anything. You just
button.
reach over and
She
push the
said that
button.
we're supposed to
Okay.
happen since she didn't.
Bam! Yes, I immediately, Rosie with her lightning reflexes, smashing. Let's go.
You push
I'm
the
gonna grab Sophie so that she's not, either pulled forward or, pulled back and pulled into the mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you grab Sophie, you hit the button, and you hear the reel start going. It's straining, and it's now smoking. Billy.
Okay. Shit.
What are you doing, Oak?
Oak is going to actually, if I can I try to push. I want to try to push my power right now. I want to try to stop this situation from happening. I want to try to stop the movement of the chain moving any further. At least for the time being, until my friends can figure out how to pull it back. So I would like to try to push my power to stop the current damage that's happening.
Go ahead and roll your free D6 while I determine the DC of this.
You got it. Okay, we're starting at 2.
All right. Let's see.
Tell me what I gotta hit.
What you are attempting to do requires a high degree of control. What you are attempting to do is previously unconceived. You are attempting to reverse the expected or unexpected, and this is going to be classified as extra large in scope. Your DC is 28.
Damn. Okay.
You are trying to use time powers to manipulate a dimensional time portal that you have never seen or interacted with before.
Okay. Yep.
So your free roll is a 2.
Free roll was a 2. Yep. So now first one. That's another 2. Okay.
Okay. That puts you at 4 with 1 used.
That's 6 with 2. I think at a certain point.
Wait,
Oak
you
is
rolled
gonna
another
give
2?
I rolled 3 2s in a row.
Okay.
This is
So 6 total. You're starting to tap into your powers, and you feel yourself sort of getting that headache, and blood is starting to trickle down your nose, and you feel like this is like trying to wrestle a tornado.
Yeah.
He's how many dice in at this point? 3?
I'm 3 dice in, and I got to
You're
hit
2 dice
the
in. The first one was the freebie.
Or sorry, yeah, 2 dice in, and I got to hit 28.
His nose is already bleeding.
Raid.
Okay. No,
Get
that's an 8. So that's now we're at 8. So that's 4 2s in a row. Jesus.
What on earth?
Okay, there's my first 6. Okay.
Okay, so that explodes. Die 4 explodes, so that's a 14 so far.
And nope, that's a 1. So now I'm at
15.
So 15 on 4
15.
dice.
15
With
on 4.
13 to go, and you only have 3 dice remaining.
Yeah.
You.
Hmm.
That'd be tough.
I think I'm gonna try to push it one more time to see if I get a
Even if you back out,
explosion.
you still suffer the consequences for pushing these. By the way, just so you know that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think at that point, that's when Oak feels that like absolute overwhelming tug of you can't beat this. Like it's like when you go fishing and you realize the fish is way too big for the size that you are, and you have to let it go, otherwise you're gonna fall off the boat. Yeah, that's this scenario. So I think
It's almost literally that.
he's gonna let it go. He's gonna let it go to save himself.
So what does
and
that look
also
like as
to-
you step in front, sort of while they're wrestling with Sophie and trying to stop this from going any deeper in as it's pulled taut, and you're trying to tap into this energy, and then you bail on it? What does that look like?
I imagine around the cable, right? For a moment, it looks like the tugging is stopping. It looks like the machine itself is stopping its smoke, things like that. It seems to be working for like a moment. And then it's almost like you can sense at least for Oak, it's almost like it becomes like that heat dilation off of asphalt, right? When the asphalt is so hot you can see it. The time dilation becomes like that, and it gets so rapidly intense that he can't push back on it. And it's like a rubber band that snaps. So it's like as soon as the time stop happens, all of that trajectory that was already happening snaps right back, and the energy comes back into the room. So I don't know how that would end up hurting the machine itself, but it would be like as if a rubber band got snapped and
I picture
pushed back
it
to its normal state.
Almost like that scene. I use this all the time because it's my favorite representative of reality bending. When after Neo defeats Agent Smith at the end of the Matrix, and he just sort of flexes, and reality goes whoa, 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 whoa. That sort of happens in this moment. You drop to your knees, blood running from your nose. You collapse forward onto your hands, and you vomit.
Yep.
You are
try.
nauseated
Mhm.
and have an intense headache and a bloody nose. Those are your results of your pushing.
Okay.
In the distortion of reality, the pump next to Rosie, the air pump, falls to the ground, and the reel is still smoldering. You're pulling Billy on Sophie, and then just as suddenly as it started, it stops. Billy, you and Sophie fall backwards. The line still in Sophie's hand. The reel stops pulling, and the line goes slack. The air hose is dangling limply, hanging still, half swallowed by the portal's shifting surface. Sophie immediately pushes off of you, Billy. She doesn't hesitate, and she starts pulling hand over hand, breathing in sharp panic gasps. Help! Help me! We have to get him out! And she's, with her small body, trying to pull these heavy ropes and air hoses hand over hand. Is anybody helping her? She
Yeah.
pleads.
Yeah,
with you.
I would help. Yeah.
Will I help as well?
You all grab hold and you start pulling on the line with everything you have. As others join in, you're hauling this dead weight little by little, pulling it, but something feels wrong. It feels like something is resisting you. Something unseen is pulling back from the other side. You can hear that pulsing, that low drone seems to, like the cave itself seems to almost groan, just a low, and all of the crystals dim. And a couple of them start going, and suddenly they flare to life as Thorgrim Talmud's suit comes hurling backwards, and he collapses onto the ground, unmoving, with a heavy thud.
Oof, oof, oof.
Sophie falls back again, this time scrabbling across the ground, scraping her knees in the dirt as she rushes to her father's side and starts undoing all of the latches. And as she gets the helmet, she pulls the helmet off and drops it. The suit is empty. No body. No trace. Just air. Sophie stares, her breath coming in shallow gasps, and then she just starts sobbing. A few pieces of debris come through the now as stable as it could be portal. A single piece of paper caught in some unseen current swirls and drops to the ground at your feet. And you see the still smoldering edges of a postcard that says Seattle, Washington, 1974. Or sorry, 1972, not 1974.
Oh.
And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Nailed it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think Tamiko caught a little something there in the side chat.
You're muted. You're muted a little bit, Tamiko, I think. Or no, are you not just not talking?
Yep.
No, you're muted. We can't hear
still
you.
muted. Oh, did your battery die?
Uh-oh, hello?
Nope.
Oh, hello. Yes.
So-
yes.
So yeah, I was what is it? I was, just emoting, but I called it. I called it.
You did. You did.
I like
God.
that sometimes
Oh my God.
I can surprise you with the unknown. Like a T-Rex. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes
It was the fact that you said he looks like my dad, but younger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
And it was
So-
it's also great to be able to kind of surprise you sometimes with what you're expecting.
Is her compass still laying around?
She
Okay.
would have dropped it on the ground as she rushed. Does Rosie look at it, pick it up?
Yeah, 100%. Rosie's like busy. This is so horrible. Like Rosie's doing other things to just instinctively to try to. She goes and picks it up.
You pick up the compass. You see this brass compass. And it's worn. And you see the dial sort of wavering, but it's pointing either at the portal or it's pointing at Sophie herself. You're not sure.
Okay.
In the glow of the light of the crystals, you turn the compass over. And you see the 3 words engraved on the back. Jacob Thorgarn Talmud.
Oh, another Jake. Jake the lumberjack. I love it.
He's not a lumberjack.
I love it. Jake the inventing genius man. Incredible.
Many Jakes.
Too many
Jakes.
Jakes. Okay,
Amazing.
now
Wow.
that was a little
Wow.
post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. No, I I do want to say, you guys, we're going to pick up right in this cavern next time.
Perfect.
Because
Good.
you are standing in front of an active time portal. Yeah, we'll see what you guys do with that, or what you want to do. And actually,
we're not
I say
playing next
in
week,
2
correct?
weeks. In 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yes. For those of you that are watching with us live, we will not be playing next week on March 13th. I will be in Toronto for Breakout Con 2025, representing MTD, running Tomb of the Mummy Lord, hanging out with another MTD channel alum, Gary from the Scribes of Scrolls and other stuff, along with, of course, Dwight the Big Bearded Nerd, the other half of MTD, and also from the Seven Doom stream and from Emporium for the Wayward Gamer, Jay. We're all going to be hanging out, meeting up with some friends and playing games and all that good stuff. So no game next week. We will be back on the 20th. Emma's going to have to do a lot of catching up. I got to figure out where in the heck is Jessica during all of this.
Mouse has taken them on a whole different adventure, whole new thing.
Well, I hadn't thought about it because originally I assumed you would all be here. So I'm kind of curious when the portal is activated like that. What happens from? What does it look like on the outside?
Jessica has a whole brand new wardrobe. Everything's all like it full on glammed up. Everything's great.
It's taking them a really long time because Mouse has to stop at every single tree that the T-Rex damaged.
Right.
Oh yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I love that you all were very immediately, without me having the prompt, you're like, I want to do this, I want to do that, to try to help the situation. And while I'm continuing with my plan of putting things in front of you all and seeing how you deal with it, I've got a lot of things, potential things, I guess, with this group. I can't say I have things planned. I have many possibilities, contingencies in place. So, I mean, after all, you guys have free reign, but you're still on an island. So,
Fair.
Although I did just give you a functioning time dimensional portal.
Yay, so nothing like a Stargate to make you feel happy. Yee.
Yeah, I may or may not have completely developed a set of mechanics to cover the contingency of you going through that portal. So, not to bait the hook too tantalizingly. With that, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who, who contributed with subs and bits and all that. Thank you to formerly known as Emily for the raid. Just a little bit ago, formerly known as Emily for End of the MTD. Check out their streams. They've been playing a lot of games. I think they were playing Hades earlier, Hades 2. But also do a lot of video game streams and stuff like that. So check them out. Just got a shout out there in chat. Speaking of chat, if you're hanging out in chat, thank you for that. Love seeing all the activity and interactions in chat. And if you are lurking silently or you are watching late, sometime later down the road on the VOD, know that we appreciate you and hope that you enjoy our games as much as we do. And another heartfelt thank you to all of these amazing players that I love getting to play this game with all of you, seeing where you guys go and what you do and what kind of chaos you wreak. Thank you, Chad, Tamiko, Carrie, Ted, Jeremy. And though they were not with us tonight, they were with us in spirit, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want.
There's too many Jakes.
Am I some kind of like small muscular?